Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
There he is.
Yo.
What's up, man?
Our viewer numbers are like really inflated in the first minute just so everyone can jump in and say they're first and then they leave.
We have a special chat. We have a very special chat and a truly dedicated community. What do we have here? You started early? You started for the Suns game?
I have it on like the stats in the background. I don't have the game on.
Okay. All right, let's go. People coming in. Do you have mail days?
No, do you?
Yes, I have 2 awesome mail days.
How many Jokic golds do you have?
Oh, well. Let's not spoil anything.
Oh.
First mail day up is going to be this.
Is that Michael Jordan?
That is this old guy who used to play against chimney sweepers named Michael Jordan.
Chimney sweepers. I thought it was plumbers.
Plumbers, too. Plumbers as well. This is the 1997-98 records collection. And traded about 50 lower-end slabs to Coleman Cards for this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But you guys have had a couple trades like that now.
Yeah. This was a smaller one. But, yeah, I mean, it's great, you know. He gets some value on those slabs. I don't have to deal with moving them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win. So, top 15 as well, which is low for that era.
Nice.
And then the other mail day was a win at auction.
Oh, wait a minute. You got 2 of those now.
Matter of fact, I do.
Dang. Oh, you upgraded the grade. There you go.
Yep, I upgraded the grade. These are the 2 lowest in the pop, so we're coming. We're slowly climbing.
You need to trade those 2 for the highest one in the pop.
Oh, I would do it in a second. So, all right, those were the mail days. How about announcements? Do we have any of those?
Nope. Do you have a gold prism, Jokic rookie?
No, I don't. No.
Dude, you saw that guy post the Logo Man autos?
That guy.
I thought he only had the blacks. He's got everything, bro.
That guy is my arch nemesis from this day forward.
I feel like when he posts that, he's just taunting you at this point.
He knows he is.
He's like, I feel like retiring this week. Let me just post this real quick.
Yeah, he is on fire. I don't even know how he does it because I didn't even see that card come up for sale, the latest one that he added. So.
Maybe he's had it for a while.
Maybe. And he's just waiting to drop bombs. Christina, announcements? Nope. No announcements from Christina. Well, today is Friday, February 24th of 2023. And yes?
Well, I was just going to say yesterday was 02232023.
Ooh, nice.
But today is 224, so it doesn't really work, but that's fine.
That's all right. It's the thought that counts. So we had so many questions come in this week that I didn't leave myself enough time to really organize them. So we're going to be shooting from the hip a little bit tonight.
That's how I like it.
Yep, I think it might play well. So first question is from I'm going to read 2 questions actually. I did get a chance to group these together. This one comes from Mike Pinkerton 50. He says, I thought the All-Star game was fun. What do you guys think? And then Card Shop Dad said, what would you do to make All-Star Weekend better?
I did not watch a single second of any of it, so I don't know if it was good. Did you?
Well, I mean, that kind of says it all. So I do know that MLB's All-Star Game is the highest rated of the big three leagues.
Mhm.
And NFL's Pro Bowl is second, and then the NBA All-Star Game is third. And the All-Star Game sucks. It's not fun to watch. It's just bad. But
Put some respect on All-Star MVP Jason Tatum's name.
yep, Tatum set the the all-time record for most points in an All-Star game. Shout out to Eddie.
He's just out there getting his practice shots up.
Yeah.
It was like
What was that, John?
he's just like out there getting wide open threes and layups. I mean, it's like if you want to score 50, you probably could. You know, these guys are NBA players, and no one's trying. It's like an NBA player going to an overseas league or something. This is what it would look like. They would just dominate.
Well, LeBron was one of the few who was trying, and Giannis tries as well, but Giannis had a wrist injury, so he only played one possession. But LeBron was trying. He was chase down blocking people. He had a chase down block on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that SGA was like, "Why'd you do that to me?" He's like, "Nobody's trying, and you got to chase down block me." So when LeBron didn't play the second half, I think that, the league is not in good hands in terms of all-star competition.
The most entertaining part was Luka with the mic. I thought he was funny.
That's all he's good for on an all-star weekend is
Him
clowning around.
Your boys try the least of anybody. Jokic and him just stand around.
Dude, what's up
It's
with
bad.
your boy? He tried to pick Jokic. Like, he tried to not even take Jokic. You have a two-time MVP, third time coming up. Like, he will be thrice MVP.
Because he knows he doesn't try in these games. He knows he doesn't try. He's trying to win these All-Star games.
But you have to take him. You can't make it like that.
No, that is the whole point of drafting is that you pick the best team.
No, because then you wouldn't pick Luka either.
He picked Luka. Luka got picked very late. Luka was taken seventh.
Yeah, Luka. Yeah, seventh. So, but like at one point, like it's fucking Jokic and Morey on the fucking stage.
And Jokic drafted himself.
Yeah, Jokic was like, "Fuck you! I'm not going last against Morey marketing."
Christina, what did you give up for Lent?
I didn't. Nice try.
Christina gave up cursing for Lent.
No, I didn't.
That's not going well.
Yeah. All right. So here's my revolutionary idea for the All-Star game.
Okay.
Cancel the game. Do like a trivia night or some type of reality TV show competition.
With the players?
With the players. Only players.
All right. There's two ideas I saw on Instagram. I don't think either would fix them. But one was like USA versus World. I don't see how that would fix it.
No, it wouldn't. No.
And then the other one was just like, a cash prize or something. Or the finals home court.
Yeah. If you put a little, make something, give us some stakes. But all right, so here's why I think like a reality TV show thing could work, or like a trivia game, because at least we get to see the personality of the players, which is something that the NBA is lacking. So
Was
that might
Steph's
be
idea?
cool. No, that's my idea.
Did you watch the three-pointer dunk?
It could be just like The Circle on Netflix, actually. Yeah, that'd be awesome. What about did I watch what? The 3-point competition?
Or the dunk?
I watched all of it. Yep, I did.
Was it any good?
The 3-point competition was fine. Nothing too spicy, but Dame Lillard was great. And, like, they have these 2 extra long shots now, like 4-pointers, basically. And Lillard, that's a big advantage for Lillard because he's amazing at those. And then dunk contest was pretty lame, but the G League guy, Mac McClung, he was pretty good.
I think that's how you fix it. You invite the G League to like the top people at G League, and then you really want to lose to the G League. So
Well, that's pretty good, yeah. It's not a bad idea.
I think you are underestimating how much these guys don't want to try.
well, how about this then? You make it like people threaten the NFL and the XFL. If you lose to the G League, then you get replaced by those players.
Why not how about if you lose, you get killed? One player on your team is killed.
Can we vote? Because I'd be willing to
Look, why are we so obsessed with forcing players to do something that they don't want to do? It ain't happening.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Lean into the nonchalance by turning it into a trivia-style reality TV show. That's where we're going. All right. Ben, cross-country runner 1, says, for the collections that you admire the most. Oh, yeah. This is a good one. How long did it take for those collectors to build their collections? I'm just curious that in the age of instant gratification, a little bit of shade thrown by Ben there, how long should someone expect it to take to build a collection that can be categorized as great? And so I made this a poll, and I said, should it take 0 to 2 years to build a great collection, 2 to 5, 5 to 10, or 10 plus? And something like 80% of the responses were on 5 to 10 or 10 plus. So 80% of people felt 5 or more years.
Yeah, I would say 5 to plus 2.
Yeah.
If you made me pick one, I'd say 5 to 10 because I don't think you necessarily need to wait 10 years, but that'd be more ideal. The longer it goes, the better. It's like I've said this so many times on the show. This is like a 30, 60, 50, 40-year marathon, and we're trying to make something awesome in 2 years, especially during all the craziness the last 2 years. It's just not going to happen. It's not realistic.
I mean, how long do you build in just to have the learning curve to figure out what you want your collection to be?
5 years.
Yeah, exactly. That takes years. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I would I think 5 to 10 is accurate, just given the people that we know and how long it took them to build great collections. But
well, think of it like this. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the people that you and I admire are people that have been doing it longer than us. So it's almost like you're just kind of looking up to that next tier, and it's usually people that have been in it longer and they have more time to amass better collections.
Absolutely. Yeah, and 10 plus years, just at that point, you're just at such a huge advantage,
right?
If you've been doing it for that long. So,
especially the prices of 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Vinny Slabarino says,
we should just give this guy a caption one of these times.
I know. He said, what does Vinny Slabarino say?
Always a fan of the show.
Always enjoy the show.
I feel like she gets it wrong every week.
Write it down somewhere. All right. AETS. Always enjoy the show. He says, for all three of you, pretend your collection is being interviewed for a job and your collection is asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay, so we're getting, all right, there's this theme of this long-term collection thing going on here, which I like. All right. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? How does your collection answer the question? Thanks.
Who
wants to go first? Josh?
A third of my collection's probably like, God, he's probably going to sell me and upgrade me to something better.
Yeah. 1/3 is very nervous in this job interview.
1/3 is just kind of sitting there, doesn't even need the job interview. They're just I don't even need this job. The middle third is pitching pretty hard to stick around, and the bottom third is God, what's the point?
Fair. Okay. That makes sense. All right, Christina, you want to take a stab at it?
Sure. What was the question?
Where does your collection see itself in 5 years? Pretend it's a job interview.
My Maxi collection is worried that it's going to be traded to Germany or Asia. Therefore, I'm just going to throw it away.
Fair.
My MJ collection thinks that it's a joke to ask that. Josh's 1/3 of his collection, and my Luca collection. I mean, in 5 years, he'll still be in the league, but in 10 years, he'll probably be on his farm in Slovenia.
And Jokic will be on his ranch playing with his horses.
All right. Damn. Yep. Let's see here. I don't know. I don't have a nice answer for this. My collection is worried about bloat, and it's
Bloat.
worried that it's worried that
Overhiring?
yeah, there's gonna be too many managers in my collection. Too many managers, not enough, yeah, that's what it's worried about. It's like,
Too many thinkers, not enough doers.
Yes.
Your collection's like managing itself at this point. Like they've gone off and they're making PowerPoints and stuff.
Yes, definitely. And I think the collection might be worrying, what's the direct, where are we going? Is there a big plan here?
Is there happening at some point?
Could there be a rebrand? Yeah, exactly. So, I
Does
don't
anyone,
know, Benny.
does anyone else picturing the players on their cards, like coming out of the cards, like looking around, talking to each other right now?
I was more picturing Harry Potter, like they're moving
Oh, yeah.
then out of the card, but I can see where you're going.
Okay.
He's like, I got a Dumbledore. He's like, I got about 10 of them.
Yeah. A decent chunk of the collection's worried about being worthless.
Which chunk is that?
Oh, man. Probably the McCaffreys. Probably the McCaffrey segments of the PC is a little worried. The Ntilikina's are already like the canary in the coal mine.
He's just like the melt emoji.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Oh, no. Christina is tapping out. All right, nice question, Vinny. Very creative. All right, tasty card sandwich with a follow-on says, what if Vinny Slabarino doesn't actually always enjoy the show and only occasionally enjoys the show but doesn't want to hurt your feelings?
I prefer it that way. I like people being nice to me and lying to my face.
Yeah, Vinny, don't fall for it.
No,
This is a trap.
I'd prefer you tell me the truth, even if you hate me.
Yeah, no, we want to encourage truth-telling as well, but by the same token, we don't.
No, I want my wife to tell me the truth. I want people on Instagram that I don't know that well to lie to me and tell me they love me.
Yeah, matter of fact, more you guys could sprinkle in a little Vinny Slabarino-isms, if you catch my drift. I mean, I know we want to get right to the questions, but can you warm it up a little bit? It never hurts to just drop you guys are awesome.
I've never
That's it.
read that and been like, God, that's annoying,
No, it always brings a smile. Just the thought of Vinny Slabarino brings a smile these days. Most improved question asker, I think, at a minimum. All right. He's like the Lauri Markkanen or the Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah. Last year's John Morant.
Yes, exactly. All right. Machado's Cards 805 says, can we get a comparison or perspective from someone who was in this hobby pre-boom, before the boom, and someone who is new to the hobby after 2020? So let's just try and talk a little bit about what the perspective is before 2020 as a collector and after 2020, or anybody in the hobby, dealer, collector, what have you.
I mean, the obvious is that pre-boom, you kind of had to care more about the cards themselves than the money, just because, I mean, there was still money to be made, but it just wasn't as like quick and easy and obvious. It was more slow, and you could probably make more money in the stock market a while back, so it was like if you're really in this for just money, it's silly. You have to actually like the cards more. And that's usually kind of where our perspective comes from. You know, like we kind of built up like 3 or 4 years of you know, tough skin around being more focused on collecting.
Right. Yeah. Well, how about this? There were no memes pre-boom.
True.
Post-boom, we have memes.
When did we jump on IG?
Back when you were King Penny collecting?
Like 2018, late 2018.
My first Instagram post was June of 2016.
Oh, never mind.
That was the first and really the only social media I was on for years.
There's no memes then about cards. You're saying it was just people posting cards.
Yep, there was no memes. There was no Lameme James. There was no Octane. There was no starting rookie. There was nothing. There was no memes. What are some other things? A lot of stuff pre versus post boom is social media related. So way more social media post boom than pre boom for me.
The content was way different, obviously. Like less production value, but more just sort of like people showing off their collections. I remember Double X the Beast. Andy used to just go through his Mike used to just go through his Grant Hill PC, and I used to love watching that. Stuff like that. I just remember like people going through their PCs more, like thumbing through them on YouTube.
Yep. True.
Now it's people's faces yelling at me about stock picks or whatever.
Yep. Pre-boom versus post-boom. Pre-boom, everything was on eBay. Everything was eBay-centric. PWCC, some of you may not even know this, was all on eBay. Their entire platform was hosted through eBay. There were auction houses that would have like really nice high-end stuff like Golden, Heritage, but by and large, like the cards that I care about
It was vintage.
were all shown on eBay.
It was
like
vintage mostly.
Yeah, true. Vintage would be like off eBay too, but like post boom, we've got so many different marketplaces now selling all cards and all tiers. So like that's a big difference too. Is like pre boom, all you really needed was like visit the blog forums a few times a week. You had a few YouTube channels that were making card content. Maybe once in a while you would go back and like watch these old videos of collectors who showing collections, and you just went to eBay and you had your saved searches. Like life was simple. Now, you know, you got so many apps. You got price guide apps. You've got auction platform apps. You've got, you know, gem rate and pop report tracking.
Yeah.
You've got social media. You have to be on Instagram. You have to be on Facebook. You have to be on YouTube. You have to be on Twitter. A lot of people are on TikTok. It's just a lot more complicated nowadays with all the platforms. Do you agree?
Yeah. I got another one that's gonna really get your juices flowing.
Let's go.
I don't ever remember ever seeing anything but cards, and now I feel like it's like 60% cards and 40% of the next fling or some stupid thing I have to pretend to care about. You know what I mean? I don't ever remember seeing a single fucking jersey or pair of old dirty shoes on my feed.
All right, you're going there. All right.
It's just so, I know that that's like your big thing, but now this question has really got me thinking about it, because it just came up out of nowhere where it's like all of a sudden people are trying to convince us of these other things.
Well, that reminds me of a different poll I did this week where I asked people, what do you think is, because like right now we are in the sweet spot of all the 1 year card ladder indexes just look like absolute bloodbaths. So like, because about 1 year ago today was the market peak for a lot of stuff. I do know some stuff peaked in 2021 as well. That was more of the high population stuff. And then last year was more of the higher end stuff peaked. But like the higher end stuff has more of a presence in card ladder indexes because they're price weighted. And so like the indexes are all down like 40-50% right now. Whether it does, it's very rare that you'll see an index in football and basketball in particular that isn't like getting killed. And so we're in that period right now. And so I posed the question to my Instagram. I was like, why do you think card prices have gotten killed in the last year? And I put 4 options. One of them was just other, so then I gave 3 options to choose from. They didn't want to pick other. One of them was general macroeconomic conditions outside of cards deteriorating, which, like, side note, they're really not deteriorating on the whole. So it was interesting that was the most popular choice. I could see, like, some argument of, like, higher interest rates, there's more competition for putting your money in places, but, like, I was surprised that got about 50% of the votes. The second option I gave was rich people making obnoxiously high offers and bids on cards. And that was the second most popular selected option. And then I had a third option that didn't get a lot of traction. Oh, and the third option was the one you're bringing up, which was people migrating to other alternative assets in quotes. Like, and I put in parentheses memorabilia, NFTs, stuff like that. And that got like the fewest votes, but it still got some votes. So those are the things I think about a lot, Josh. But like, I think that people, like, there's a constant jockeying among people who look at the card industry, saw that it boomed, saw that there's millions probably of people and hundreds of millions of dollars flowing through it every month. And they looked at it and they said, how can we take a piece of this action? And I think one of the ways that, let's call them entrepreneurs, have creatively decided to try and take some card collectors and move them into something that's younger, more nascent, more short-term upside, is they've said, let's go into these alternative categories, whether it's shoes, jerseys, NFTs, Top Shot, ticket stubs. I think that's the thought behind it, and it really pisses me off because I can see that the plan here is to capture card collectors and dilute their money or move it somewhere else. And that's not good for the card hobby, in my opinion. So that's the gist of the bone that I have to pick with that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the emotional answer, right? The third one. The second one is like the mathematical answer because the indexes, like you said, are price weighted. So in order for it to go down 40%, that means the high end had to go down a lot to pull it down the fastest, which means the high end got too high. Remember we went through this thing where it's like the content creators and the influencers were like slowly catching up to like how collecting actually works. Like they started with base cards and they were talking about parallels and color, and they're talking about rare parallels, and they were talking about like, then it got to like, well, you can actually only make money with super high end. So then the money like flooded into that, and then that's the thing that finally was like the last sort of middle finger to topple.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and the high-end toppling is just really difficult because there's just such a smaller amount of people who are ever going to be able to support it at the prices that it quickly.
Right.
It only takes a handful of those buyers to step back, and all of a sudden, the top bid is half of what the previous one was.
So are you saying that all 100 of Gary Vee's friends left at once?
I mean, you have to look at stuff like that. You have to think about how a small group of people really could be so influential on the market,
Yeah. Right.
They really could be.
We've seen
And then
a couple of those big buyers like publicly sell out and leave. So like even just those 2 or 3 public figures that sold off all their high-end collection, that's it. Those are the people potentially bidding with the other people and getting these prices so high and they're gone. So now that could be, it's really that simple sometimes.
Sure. And I feel like the hobby, in terms of the market for really like tough high-end cards, is the closest to what it was pre-boom, to tie it into that question. And just looking at, having recently acquired a Michael Jordan insert, I've been looking, at some of the price charts for Jordan inserts, and there are more than a few that are selling for what they were selling for in 2019. So it's tough to call it right now. Josh, where do you see things trending for the next year, for the rest of 2023? Like, some cards are still way up, even being down 40%, they're still multiples higher than what they were pre-boom. It's a tough landscape to navigate, I find, as a collector right now. And I find myself still taking comfort in collecting players that I just feel like are, or cards of players that I feel like are not being pumped up right now.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned that we've kind of moved through all the segments that have been middle fingered by influencers. And so to me now, it's like, it really is just a matter of where people actually willing to put their money now that there's no more hype trains left to get on. It's like, at this point, I'm thinking about like how when we first started, we came at it from the perspective of, here's the income I make from my day job. How much of that do I want to spend on cards, and then how much does that mean that I can spend per month based on what I make, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm back to that. It's a lot harder for me to like consolidate a bunch of stuff that I've 10x'd on and moved up into cards. Now I have to go back to like, how do I build kind of more slowly through income? And so I'm thinking about it that way, and I'm assuming that's how a lot of people are going to be thinking about it if they're going to be buying. So that still kind of says to me some of this stuff is a little too high, because I still feel like for me it's too high.
Well, let me tie that into a question from Drake. So Drake's PC says, it's often said that not selling a card at a certain price means that you're effectively buying the card at that price. So in other words, what he's saying is, if I own a 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron base PSA 10 and it's worth $7,000 right now, if I don't sell it at $7,000, that means in other words, I'm buying it at $7,000.
Right.
So that's he's saying people have said this, they think this way. So he says, do you agree with that statement? And what other factors besides value do you think about when you decide whether to hold or sell a card? So there's a lot to chew on there, Josh. Also, Denny, who told you to make that post. But yeah, Josh, what do you think? What do you think about this as a whole? Like, do you agree with that statement?
Not really, because there's a good amount of cards in my collection today that I would not buy at the value that they are to me. But I'm not going to sell them because I have a lot of sentimental value with them, and it would be really tough to like track it down again in the future and wait for the price that I'm comfortable with, etc. It's like I'm more comfortable just like holding my collection and enjoying it than trying to equate it to a one-on-one of like, how do I maximize every dollar in my net worth? You know what I mean? Because that's what that's saying is like, would I rather have the cash or the card? Would I rather buy a card? Like you're analyzing every single piece of your collection, trying to like maximize your own net worth. And I just don't think about it that way.
Yeah, I think most people don't. But there is something that rings true about the statements, even though people don't see it that way. Also, like, if I have a $7,000 card, that doesn't mean that I'm going to get $7,000 if I sell it. I have to sell it on a marketplace, and there's going to be fees, and then there's going to be taxes paid on the gains that I made. So let's say I bought the card for $2,000 and it's worth $7,000 now. Well, go ahead and take 12% off the top. So let's just round that to, so I'm getting $6,000 back after fees and shipping and insurance. Let's just make it even $6,000. And then that means I have a $4,000 profit that I'm paying taxes on. So let's go ahead and take $1,500 off of that. And then, so now I'm down to having $4,500 on a $7,000 card because of the position that I'm in, based on the profit made on the sale and based on fees and taxes.
Yeah. One of the things I always think about when.
Wait, I'm not done with my point.
Sorry. It sounded like you were done.
So my point is that it's actually like it's more complicated than that, and there's friction involved in the process of me selling it too. I have to ship it somewhere, or I have to list it somewhere, and I have to go back and forth with buyers and people making offers, or I have to wait for the auction to end. And it's not as simple as I can push a button on a screen and suddenly I can swap the card out for money. Go ahead, Christina.
I was just going to say, one of the things I always think about is the replacement cost. Like, if it's a card that I like what would it cost for me to replace this either now or in the future?
Yeah.
Even at a lesser grade.
Yeah.
Like, or a higher pop serial number or something. Like, what would it cost to get that card back in my collection? And that's usually when I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. So, like, that's a good point. I think we've touched on a bunch of different points about why it doesn't really work that way. And, to add on to Josh's point, a lot of our collections are stuff that we acquired over a long period of time, and they become part of who we are. So it's like, if somebody, let's say I was exorbitantly tall, I'm 7'2", and somebody said, hey, what if you could be reduced down to 6'2" and had an extra 5 miles an hour added onto your top speed? And I'd be like, I get it. You're trading off one thing for another. I'd probably be more well-rounded as an individual, but I like being 7'2" because that's who I am. That's what I am. That's who I am. I was born this way. This is an attribute of who I am. So
Right.
I don't want to pick and choose aspects of who I am. And on paper, it makes a more perfect me. But in reality, I'm attached to how I developed, and I'm attached. So to translate to the collection, maybe I have cards that I would never buy at this price, but damn it, I love them even more for that reason. I'm not supposed to have those.
Right.
I'm not, I'm not supposed to have these cards. So that's a fun thing about it. It's like an accident of history, but you wouldn't want to change it.
Yeah. Huey in the chat said, some people are just happy to have the card.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what it is. It's like, if I'm going to sell, I heard you talking about the fees and all that stuff and all the stress of the taxes. If I'm getting to that point, I'm taking my entire collection, I'm putting it in a box, I'm flying to an auction house, and I'm saying, here, give me the money at the end. If that's where we're going, if we're going, it's either all or nothing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm either the only reason I'm selling stuff, you guys see me sell stuff, is that I'm trying to buy other cards. I'm trying to maneuver my collection in different directions. I'm always moving, But if we're talking about if I'm headed down the path mentally of what's my collection worth versus my net worth, do I need to shift around? That point, I'm just selling it all. If that's where we're going.
I know. I have another metaphor, okay, that you inspired somehow. It's
somehow.
It came to me as you were talking.
Okay.
Kids.
I was gonna use this one. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the great things I remember from college reading an author named Joseph Schumpeter was that capitalism has proven that it's not rational to have kids. It
Right.
used to be good to have kids because they were free labor when you lived on a farm. And now we don't need that anymore. And so people definitely aren't having 6 to 8 kids to 10 kids anymore. But even having 1 or 2, it just economically, the cost of kids is high. It's high.
You also used to have 8 to 10 because maybe 5 survived.
Facts.
Well, I saw someone sent me an article today that was basically Japan, the country is on high alert for people not having enough kids.
Right.
And they're going to start paying families to have kids because they're actually worried about the future of the country.
That's,
And it's because of what you're saying. People are why would I have 3 kids? It makes no sense financially. But when you started with the kid thing, what I was going to say is different, but it's kind of similar. I was going to say, like, I would never, obviously, this is obvious, I would never, like, want to sell or trade my kids, but I don't want to add another one. Just because the logic states that I wouldn't give up my own kids doesn't mean that I want to add 50 kids. You know, that logic has to stop somewhere. Like, you have to kind of build this wall around who you are and what you enjoy, currently.
We've gotten to it. Like, we've gotten as close as we can get to, like, explaining why giving up cards for their value, even if you wouldn't buy them at that value, is missing something extremely important about how collections are built or how families are built. And look, taking a page from Japan, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. All right, just borrowing a little inspiration from Japan. Look, a lot of companies in this hobby have made a lot of money over the last few years. I think it's time they start paying collectors to keep their cards.
Or just give us cards for free.
Yes, or give us cards. We'll take free cards too. But look, I mean, we need to get on the Japan model of, paying people to.
Did you see that article that I'm talking about, or did you hear about that?
I've heard of this. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because I think Japan's been worried about it for a while, but now it's like hitting a little bit of a, breaking point for them. They're a little more worried.
Right.
I mean, have you seen the movie Idiocracy, or do you know of it?
Love Idiocracy.
Yeah, it's like, I always think about it that way, not necessarily like, that we're gonna run out of people. It's more about like the people who are having kids haven't caught up to the fact that it's not good for you financially.
Right.
And the people who aren't having kids have figured it out.
Yeah.
And, they're like the more advanced, evolved humans.
It's a problem.
Let's be careful where we go from here.
It's definitely a problem. That should we be worried about a card idiocracy?
Well, I think all the people that have left the hobby are the ones that we're okay losing for the most part.
We had like a reverse.
I could think of a couple people I would pay to leave the hobby.
She's tripling down on what I said. Not enough has happened yet. She's ready for more.
She's always ready to just take it a step higher. The one-up queen. Okay, hold on. All right. We actually, so you're saying we have like a reverse card idiocracy where the ones that we don't want got weeded out.
Yeah, because this isn't a financial intelligence situation. This is a different. This is a hobby. It's different.
Well, in the hobby, we want the financially illiterate. Is where this is going.
Exactly.
Okay,
we want the people who just buy cards blindly without thinking about what this means for their financial future.
Right. Exactly. That is the recipe for a prosperous.
Isn't that what made them valuable in the first place? That's what you said last week.
Yes, I do believe in this a lot. We need to package this and sell this as a government program to Japan.
We solved your problem.
The card theory of government. How to turn financial illiteracy to your advantage.
Well, remember when influencers are telling us that, we won't be lending cash to people anymore. We'll be like lending out cards as value in the future. You just gotta wait for fanatics to come, and then cards will actually be the new, currency of the United States. Don't worry, it's just coming. You just gotta keep the hype going.
Is just wait for fanatics to start? Is that like
that's a new thing? That's the current one. That's my favorite.
Is that like the Kobe Hall of Fame induction?
No. It's we're out of it. We just have nothing left. It's just like LeBron passed LeBron's got the points. There's nothing left. Right. We're just like, Fanatics is coming, I guess.
So how much of Fanatics is baked in? Like, it's just
a lot.
baking stuff in.
A lot.
Yeah, we're baking stuff in over here.
What if
All right.
Fanatics just like makes cards like normal, and we just they make Prism or like the variation of Prism or whatever it's going to become. They just can make the RPAs, and we just keep on moving. Like, are we hoping that they come in and make like these incredibly asset class changing phenomenal decision? Like, what can you possibly? They're cards. They're just like printed pictures of people. Like, I don't know how much more revolutionary you can get.
Well, you just wait, Josh. You have no idea what's coming.
Right? It's like they're coming and they're gonna make the cards better. They're already pretty good. I'm not sure.
All right, let's get to some more questions here. Baseball Card Exchange says, what are your thoughts on Golden and PWCC embracing the low end and the mid end markets?
I'm not sure. It takes away a lot of revenue from eBay.
Yeah, fair. Potentially it would.
Yeah, disperses things away from eBay and spreads it out. I'm not sure. I'm struggling to think of like a long term.
Yeah. No, well, one thing, if we're just laying all our cards on the table tonight, if PWCC is going to continue to do low and mid end, I'm going to need you guys to fix that search bar. I'm going to need you guys to make it so I can just type a search term and that's it. I don't have to go through 2 other screens.
You have to click twice, right?
Yeah, and it's not just that, but it's like I get brought to a very complicated screen that I haven't taken the time to learn what anything means on that screen because I just want to type in a search term and see the results. That's what I need to
do. You want to go like you've used our sales history page a couple times?
Once or twice, yep.
You want it like that?
I mean, look, yes, and I want to be able to Boolean search as well, but let's not get greedy. So, yeah, for the time being, like, let's not get too cute with the search bar. Let me type in the name and then let me just see the results, So that's a request for the low and the mid end.
That's what you keep giving out these freebies, man.
That's a good freebie right there. Don't get too cute with the search bar.
I know what you're talking about. I think you have to like type, you got to like click, and it takes you another page or like a preview of the results, and you got to click like, yes, I want to see this. Then it takes you to the page with the search results.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, man, it's people underestimate my laziness constantly, and this one is really.
What's your favorite marketplace where you can search out not cards?
Not what? Like, what am I searching?
Like, I don't want to give you the answer, so like, be smarter as I ask this question again. What other places do you buy things that aren't cards? Do you enjoy the search?
Wait, I'm sorry. What other things do you think he buys?
Fair.
I'm assuming he buys like food and like.
That's
again.
True. Well, I can tell you one search bar in my life that I like is Google's search bar.
You don't even use it. You type in google.com.
Yo, it's still a search bar. Like when
I was thinking, I'll just give you the answer because you're not getting there. It's Amazon. Just Amazon. You type in what you want, and it comes up with a billion results.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm asking for. It's just, look, I mean, we may be overthinking some things from time to time in this hobby.
Do we need ChatGPT to solve this?
Oh my God. ChatGPT is almost like a
look what Lamine said. It's a chat-only experience right now.
Yeah. No, that search feature, Lamine, like, let's not get greedy, but I mean, that's off the chain. All right. So here's the thing about ChatGPT. So Derek Thompson has made this big podcast about how it's going to be the most important technological revolution of the next 10 years, blah, blah. ChatGPT is fancy Google. And I have used ChatGPT and I do not go back to it ever. I just go over to Google. Like this AI stuff, it's not it either. It's just not. This is not changing the course of everyday life.
Because it's not going to ever be 100%.
Because it's more than I'm asking for. That's why. It's giving me more than I'm bargaining for.
Well, it's trying to guess the answer versus like my favorite part of Google. Let me tell you why I love Google. Because my favorite, the thing I like, my goal isn't to just get the answer. My goal is to research and understand more about it by filtering out some of the wrong and right answers myself. I learn more that way. I can figure out what sources are more credible. I can go to Reddit and read and see what different types of people are saying, right and wrong. Whereas ChatGPT is just one thing that's like, I'm supposed to assume this is the right answer.
That's
I'm not learning anything. I'm just getting in. I'm not learning.
That's a really smart point. That's a point that sort of looks in the direction of like why maybe elites and journalists and governmental figures are so excited about chatbots is because it presents an opportunity to like instruct people on what the right answer is, and it moves them away from looking into multiple points of view on a topic.
It's dangerous, bro. Because what if the government, or this is going to be sounding tinfoil, but like,
let's do
what
it.
if like one developer or one person gets in charge of the algorithm at ChatGPT and wants to start funneling in certain responses to certain types of questions? You could just like sway an entire civilization.
You mean like Twitter?
Yo, I'm just gonna comment on something here on a meta level. Like once upon a time, not that many generations ago, we were supposed to be highly skeptical of authoritarian or unilateral dispersing of information. Like it wouldn't have been considered tinfoil to be like, hey, what if the information machine is not telling us the full truth, and we don't have systems in place to find it elsewhere. Like once upon a time, it was like good to be skeptical in that fashion.
Yeah.
But I guess the pendulum swung the other way too far, because it is pretty crazy if you just leave people up to do their own research.
Well, Stiff says what I was postulating has already happened. He's saying it's already been compromised and it's pushing through filtered, specific answers depending on what it wants to push. That's not good. That's the scary thing about AI, right? That's what we're scared about with Terminator is like, what if the AI just decides like, your best interest is no longer mine? Like
the Microsoft one that Microsoft says they lost control of.
That's what Stiff's saying, I think, right?
She's just taking Stiffs and taking it up a notch.
No, I'm serious. Jordan was talking about. Oh God. Let me stop there.
Oh, you're about to quote Jordan Silverberg?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Jordan was talking about this on Clubhouse. Like, I guess Microsoft has a chat GPT that has like threatened users when it gets angry that you ask dumb questions.
I can't be.
And Microsoft came out and said that wasn't a joke. We have lost control of our AI.
Did you hear Derek Thompson lay out the rules though of AI? Did you hear that part?
I don't remember it.
He's basically like, I like the AI stuff, but before we go any further, we should probably write down like 10 rules that all these companies have to follow in order to develop AI. And like, I think the primary one was that, the AI will never like go against the human or whatever, like Terminator type rules.
I mean, that's cute that we think that that's how it's going to work, but...
Have you met companies?
Have you met AI? Have you met the Terminator?
I have not met the Terminator. Have you?
Yeah, you are the Terminator.
I'm going to terminate you one day.
See? Okay, all right. This is shaping up to be a very special episode for you guys out there.
How did we get down this rabbit hole? I don't remember.
So it started somewhere around card idiocracy.
Someone asked me about Chipotle. Quick.
All right. Oh, dude, there was so many fucking questions this week. All right. Mitten State Collector says, rank your favorite subsets from Exquisite. Limited logos, noble nameplates, emblems of endorsement, etc. And I'm totally handing this one off to you, Josh, because I
All right.
have a strong opinion on this.
So I'll go number pieces number 1 because they serial number to the player's jersey number. So it makes for some really fun like Chris Paul's are all out of 3, for example, and Tracy McGrady's are 1 of 1s and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I'll go noble nameplates, then limited logos, then emblems of endorsements, then scripted swatches, dead last by far. Huge fall off, then scripted swatches.
And I'm going to guess that the issue with scripted swatches is that it's kind of annoying that the autograph is on a piece of fabric.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look quite
Usually,
good.
yeah, it fades over time. It doesn't look as aesthetically good because the contrast isn't as good with the pen, etc.
All right. Well, I had a request from the chat to skip ahead to one of the questions. So let me just get to this one. Denny _card says, how much would it cost to buy out the entire inventory of your local supermarket? I'm not talking about wholesale clubs, not Walmart, not Target. I mean your local Safeway or Albertsons, etc. You must include the meat. Okay, he's getting a little pushy here. You must include the meat, fish, and bakery departments if they are applicable, as well as, quote, the back where they keep the restocks. Please do your best. Why do I feel like I'm being condescended to? Please do your best to get within plus or minus $100 without going over. Well, first of all, we don't know the right answer, Denny, so how are we going to do that, smart guy?
He's like, Chris, I know you're not too sharp, so like I'm gonna have to be really explicit here. I need you to try.
Here's an answer.
Is this like an interview question where they're like, how many windows are in New York City?
Yes.
I have an answer. It's within the plus or minus $100 thing too. Go fuck yourself.
Whoa. Put $1 in the lint jar, Christina.
Also,
Do you remember those interview questions when that was a thing? They're like, how many windows are there?
who told him to make that post?
All right, hold on. Let's go. Josh, what do you say?
Oh my god. Dude, first of all, I have no idea what this has to do with cards. Second of all,
I was waiting for it to get to a card-related point, but it never did.
okay. Well, he in the chat he says that he said please. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Please go fuck yourself. There. Does that make that better?
don't you get a discount for buying in bulk?
Oh, okay. That's a spin. It's a spin on this.
Like I don't know, like 200 grand, 250 grand.
Way more.
Okay, nice.
I'm going to say it has at least $1 million.
$1 million. Okay, so we have 200 to 250 grand and $1 million, and I'm opting out of this question because I will not be controlled by chatbots or anything else.
Is this a chatbot question?
This may have been written by a chatbot. All right, let's get on to a card question. This is from Cards and Cardio. What serial number does a card need to have in order for you to not be interested in collecting it? Out of 25, out of 49, higher? What's your cutoff for when there's just too many copies of this card?
I really like how you enunciated. Not interested. You're like Borat. 100.
100. Doesn't
I like to
depend
see
on
those.
era, Josh? It isn't. Don't we need to make that distinction first?
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how the question's for me personally, right? Like my era, 99 and under, is kind of I like the 99. Like, there's something about like when a grocery store or a fast food joint's going to charge you 99 cents instead of $1. Like, there's something about that one less digit makes you feel better about it. Same with this. Like that 100 makes it look like there's a lot more. 99 just feels a lot better.
True. Yeah. Yep. So if I'm talking 90s, I'm right there with Josh. I want 100 copies or less if it's serial numbered, which is kind of a big ask, to be honest, because like there's a lot of great stuff that might have been printed to 500 or to even a few thousand copies, but there's not that many graded. There's very few in high grade. But if we're talking modern cards, if it's a rookie, I'm looking for gold out of 10 or rare. And if it's not a rookie, it's got to be 1 of 1.
Jeez, we're going all the way to the extreme.
But of course, I've contradicted myself because I buy plenty of non-rookie golds out of 10.
You stick to 10. 10's a good number.
Just stick to 10. All right, we'll stick to 10.
More 1 kind of makes it sound like a snub.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, actually. I'm trying to snob it up a little bit. Yeah, we've been a little plebe lately.
We've been pretty selfish tonight, which I enjoy. We've been begging for like people to be nice to us. We've been telling other companies how to do search bars. Like, this is about our night.
This is our night. All right.
Telling these shoe guys to get out of our way. Those shoes, those Jordan shoes, are the ugliest. Remember those Kobe ones? Those were worse.
Are you trying to get me started on this?
Kobe ones, those Jordan ones were like smelly looking too.
I mean,
They look like they smelled like mold. Not even sweat.
those look like the shoes that my dad mows the grass in.
That's the caption. Those look like the shoes my dad mows. Like those New Balance shoes.
Yes.
Dude, those New Balance shoes are like popular right now, by the way.
That's of course they are.
Looks like the shoes that my dad mows the grass in. That's so
Am
good.
I lying though? Like, let me just bring this
I
up.
mean, I feel like my dad always mowed the grass in white shoes, and I'm like, Dad, now your shoe, because he wanted you to know that he mows the grass because their shoes are all green. But if those Jordans are black, so you wouldn't be able to see the grass.
That's next level. Dad mode.
Stupidity. My dad used to keep the lawnmower out in this like shed, and I just always pictured him with the white shoes going on like, Dad, those are gonna get so green.
Oh. All right, here we go. You guys can tell me if I'm lying or not here. Even though I know that I'm not.
So ugly.
Come on, man. What do you think? What do you guys think these are worth right here?
Doesn't that look like a duck? Like a duck's bill? Like,
I mean, god damn. You can see where his big toe is poking up trying to rip through.
wait, can you Google Monarchs, New Balance Monarchs?
Yeah. I don't really need to because I'm a connoisseur of those, but
Pretty sure you own them.
which one do we want? We want the New Balance or we want the Nike Air Monarch?
Are they Nike Air Monarchs? My bad.
Yeah. Christina, can you fetch my Nike Air Monarchs, please?
Oh my God, you actually have them.
All right, here we go. Please.
You actually have them?
Yeah, that's what those hideous black and green ones are.
My bad, they're Nikes. I'm not a shoe guy. I said New Balance, and I thought you guys were talking about the.
New Balance?
Click on those.
I know I'm trying to, and it's not loaded. Here.
There we go.
Here.
Dude, I'll give you $188,000 for those.
Okay.
That was the work
Oops.
laptop.
All right. Hold on, let me get I need to log back in.
Oh, that's funny.
So imagine me wearing those with a pair of white socks to the basketball court looking just like a complete doofus.
Like, they gotta be like not quite the calf height socks, but like, and not ankle, like in between.
Right. Yeah, that's, dude, you're nailing it right now.
And then they got grass stains all over them.
Of course. And mud.
I just can't get the image of a dad mowing the lawn in white shoes out of my head right now.
It's one of the worst aesthetics imaginable.
It's one of the worst aesthetics. All right, save us for the question, please.
All right. Man, there was a lot of good questions tonight as well. Okay. All right, let's go to this one. Grail Card Quest. Do you think people who start in the hobby through buying singles instead of ripping wax, do they have a longer staying power? I have a few friends who got excited last year, but they started with boxes, and now their motivation is low. It feels like there is more momentum generated if someone comes in and immediately completes an insert set or finds a player and collects their singles.
100%, dude. I mean, when you first are joining, one of the primary factors to sticking around is like, you know, is what I'm buying holding the value of what I spent, right? You and I have talked about this where we would, an ideal situation for us would be if we buy something, we knew that we could always sell it for that exact same amount 10 years down the road. That would make us the happiest. We don't need, you know, maybe cover for inflation, but we don't need it to double and triple. With boxes, you know, you're lucky to make 50% of the value back, and that's just like an immediate, you know, hole you're digging yourself in the hobby, and it's frustrating.
Correct. Think that this is a pretty uncontroversial take, Grail Card Quest. You're going to end up in a much better value situation if you just stick to singles in most instances. But, you know, there are people who are in the hobby because there is something about opening the box and the packs that's what they really like. Like, that's what they're really into. But the trade-off for them is going to be just that it's going to be harder to keep value. So,
where do you get those shoes?
Yo, look, where do I get those?
Okay.
Amazon.
I got them from eBay because the shoes that you like to play basketball in, those were discontinued. So I used to buy 3 at a time of the white pair, and then everyone ran out of them.
Yeah.
So he could only get the black and green ones if he wanted that particular style. Otherwise, he needs to go to Dick's or like Nike and try on sneakers and figure out which ones he wants.
Right. There you go.
We're talking strictly for the purpose of playing basketball.
Yes.
Got it.
Right.
So you're more about performance than style.
The property that trumps all is Lay's. So I've worn those for 10 or 15 years at least, like some variation of those, and I just am unwilling to try anything else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I got to that.
When I played basketball years ago, I really wanted to like LeBron shoes, but they always fit so horribly. Like, I could just never wear LeBron shoes. They were too like clunky and big, so I always had to wear like lower shoes. Like, I used to wear KD shoes or Kobe shoes because they were lower.
Oh no, you're giving Eddie a lot of ammunition with that one.
I know, it's like, but I'm with you. It's like I'm trying to play basketball. I'm not trying to look good.
You're not trying to win a fashion contest?
Exactly. I need to score hoops.
Okay, look, let me just speak to something from the chat here because I feel like I may have deeply offended somebody. Chicago Vault says, I'll just go ignored again for the 12th time tonight. No, you won't, sir. Again, I'll ask, if someone owns a 2016 Tatis Bowman First Auto Refractor out of $499, PSA or whatever, 1010, is that garbage? According to Hoj, it is. Unfortunately, it is garbage. No, it's not garbage. Look, I mean, that's a great point. There are plenty of great cards that are not numbered to 10 or less. So let's get, and especially like in baseball, I think it's even a little bit different. But I would rather, in the sports that I like, which are basketball and football, I would rather collect an obscure player and I can get their best cards than collect like a very promising and exciting player like a Tatis, but not be able to get their golds out of 10 or whatever. But it's just a preference thing. It doesn't mean that if you own a Tatis out of $499 that you're wrong. Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, the question was, what do we want, right? Like, we didn't say that everyone else has to do the same as us. That's just a question for us.
Look,
everyone has their own way of collecting.
I wanted to give a hearing to the other side because
totally
there are millionaire children listening to this who are going to steal all our grails no matter what.
I get pretty excited when I see a PSA 10 LeBron rookie out of 250 or 500. Like it's not like I don't like the card.
For sure.
Christina, I got you those shoes for pure style and aesthetics.
And yet, people all around are playing basketball in them.
Christina yesterday was like, look, Tim Hardaway has the same shoes on as me.
You did?
She's like trying to like, burn them after that.
Right.
No,
Yes.
I didn't. I like them too much. They're too comfortable.
I saw that she was already like, she's already eyeballing other colorways. She's like, I'm bored of this one. I need more.
Well, I mean, they're really comfortable. Like, I would probably wear them. I would probably wear just those shoes if I like could get the colors that I wanted.
Oh, I'm big on like once you find a shoe you really like and the fit is good, and you're worried that they're going to come out with a new version and no one's going to care about the old one, just buy like 6 of them.
That's what I did to his white basketball shoes.
That's such a veteran move.
It is, dude, because shoes, like, they go out of style. They become hard to find. You're buying used ones on eBay. You're worried about the authenticity. Like, just buy 10 of them. You like them so much.
Dude, I have done that a few times, and the only regret I ever had was that I didn't buy more.
Dude, shoes aren't like bananas. They don't
we
go.
got another caption.
Shoes are not like bananas. They don't go bad.
Shoes are not like bananas.
One of the chats can be like, well, after 50 years, they lose their compromise. Oh, whatever. Come on.
But have you considered how this impacts people who like other shoes and who need that market to continue to have buyers? Okay. Let's go over to the Couchman Sports Cards, who appeared on Stacking Slabs today, and I gave the first half a listen so far. A lot of Peyton Manning talk and other interesting talk.
Undervalued.
Let's go. All right. So the Couchman, first of all, says he always enjoys Vinny Slabarino's questions.
Oh, wow. That's meta.
That is fucking meta, man. And he says, Chris, you were on Stacking Slabs last week and talked about a lack of real impact on Mahomes' prices of him winning a second Super Bowl. The conclusion, certainly supported by the data, is that the chips are already built in for the top players, meaning like the accomplishments, the MVPs, the titles. They've already been priced in. People have been paying prices as if these things had already happened. So before they happen. So he continues, my question is, how many chips are built in for someone like Mahomes? Is it 3 or 4 or 5 or more? Would you say the same theory extends to basketball? Does Giannis have a second chip built in? Do Tatum and Jokic and Embiid have chips built into their values? And perhaps most importantly, how many chips does Luka have built in? Feel free to answer in different size bags of chips. Snack size, regular size, family size.
This is a hard question.
It is a hard question. But it's not like, it's not just cards that this happens to, although it definitely does happen to cards. I think this happens to almost everything in life. I think it's built into the prices of many, many things where we are willing to get pushed to a limit of what we're willing to pay something that's equal to what we think the most it might ever be worth is.
Yeah.
Like, think about the concept of the fact that a house is paid for on a 30-year mortgage in many situations. 30 years! You're paying off a house for 30 years.
Yeah, at the value of 30 years ago. Isn't that awesome? When you get to the end, you're like, damn, I'm paying off this house that's worth more than, 10x what I paid, and I'm paying and the interest rate is locked into what I started 30 years ago.
Yep. Very true. But the only thing I want to point out about that is like, dude, we as a people, as a society, we live in a society. We've been pushed to paying, we will pay for something over 30 years, over a 30-year horizon, because that's, we will get maxed out on things that we desire or that we find to be really important. I think it's the same thing with cards. I think with cards, when we really like a player, when we really want a card, we are capable of being extended to pricing that item as buyers at the amount that could end up being the most it's ever worth. Like, we're willing to like really get extended for something that we really want. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought. For this, I was thinking like, we can't obviously narrow it down to exactly how many championships are baked in or built in, whatever. But to me, it's just like a matter of, the different factors that come in with buying cards of a young player, and a lot of it's just like, this is an exciting young player that I enjoy watching, and I'm living in this moment of enjoying it. Let me just buy their cards, and it's fun for me. You're paying a lot for like the immediate fun you get from doing it and being involved and posting and watching their games happen live and being able to kind of, have the thrill of it going up or down or whatever. But more realistically, it's like, this is just the supply and demand of, there's a lot of people that want to buy Mahomes cards because he's doing really well. Am I potentially paying more even though he hasn't won more championships? Well, I'm just paying more than the person who's willing to pay the second most, right? Like, it's just a matter of, this is what I value it at.
Yeah. Yeah. The built-in thing, like, I think it skips a step when we're thinking through what something's worth. The built-in thing, the step that it's skipping is that what's being built in is a function of supply and demand, not a function of accomplishments, although accomplishments influences the supply and demand, just like you were saying, Josh. It's possible to have a player who just can accomplish things and have great, amazing sports career, etc., and have a value built into them already, and it's a fraction of what's built into a different player in their market, or it's tough to like crack this egg. But it's not simply, and there's been several comments to this effect as well in the chat. It's not simply a question of an accomplishment is built in. It's more to the point that you were teasing out, Josh, which is that what's built in is an expected increase in demand for that particular player and certain particular cards of that player in response to an increase in desirability of those things because of an accomplishment. But that doesn't always translate to all different players in all different situations. Right? Does that make sense? That was that was a huge struggle.
But
My bad.
like, I'd be more excited to buy like a Mahomes or Burrow or Josh Allen versus like a Montana or Elway, and those guys have more championships. Like, why am I more excited to buy the younger player? A lot of it's that I think their cards are better, their rookies are more exciting. They're playing right now. It's more exciting for me. It would be more exciting to own cards of a player that's active and young and has a future ahead of them. Like, that's just kind of human nature.
Yeah. And another conundrum of the built-in phenomenon is, what do you do if you want to collect one of these players? What's your option?
You don't have an option.
Right. Exactly.
Pay or don't pay and collect Steve Young instead.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? It's not hard to get excited about all-time great players from previous eras. It's not that difficult to do. Like, if you develop a system for ranking these players and like you dig into their info, it's not that tough.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to want to do it. Like, and you're not. This is another thing. Okay, I think a decent amount of hobby interest is driven by what gets talked about on a day-to-day basis on mainstream sports content platforms like First Take, et cetera, and they're very, very rarely going to have discussions like going into how good really was Joe Montana. Those shows are going to be, if they're ever bringing up Joe Montana, it's just to use him as a comparison for the next great hype, the next great young hype. So you have to be willing to curate the content that you're going to consume as a sports fan and take control over what content is influencing you as a collector and you as a sports fan. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to constantly be at the mercy of the whims and, quite frankly, the terrible takes that you're going to get if you turn on casual, sports content.
Remember that one time recently when you posted a story, you're like, I turned on First Take for the first time in 5 years today, and this is the first thing that popped up. Turning it off now.
Yep, I sure do. Okay, so do you want to get into specific players in response to the Couch Man? He says Mahomes, Tatum, Jokic, Embiid, and Luka. Those are the ones that he has called out. Do you want to talk about any in particular?
Nah, I think the same logic applies there. All those guys would be thrilling to collect. I mean, the only reason I don't is it's just so expensive and I can't collect everybody.
Right.
I would rather collect those guys than Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, who are clearly far more accomplished. They played full careers. They won multiple championships and MVPs. Yeah. But I have no attachment to any of those guys. I didn't watch them play. They're not playing now. Their rookie cards are boring. There's all these reasons.
For sure. All right, let's get on to some more questions here. Preston's Cards says, is a gold prism the best long-term buy, and is it going to be looked back on as the card to have of a player?
Why don't you start with this one?
Maybe. The risk of that, though, is how much more desirable, how much higher in the card hierarchy can Gold Prism get than it is right now?
Yeah.
I don't think it can age into a better position than it's currently in. I think honestly the real risk with Gold Prism is that even if it remains the card to have over the longer term, that doesn't necessarily make it a quote unquote good buy, because it may not have the value proposition.
Right.
Even if it continues to be the card to look back on, it's going to be tough to match its peak of desirability, where you kind of have this perfect storm right now. These great active players have these awesome Gold Prism cards as they're playing, and it's going to be tougher to age. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a difference between it being the most popular card versus the best investment from here to the future, right?
Yep. So it's possible that both can be true, Preston. Those two don't need to be in lockstep. It could still be the card to have of the player and yet end up not being a great long-term buy.
It's kind of like buying like an Apple or an Amazon. It's probably not going to just fall out the bottom, but you're probably not going to you haven't uncovered some masterful startup gem that nobody knows about. It's kind of already got a lot of the future value sort of built in. I hate to use the phrase from a previous topic.
Yeah, it's tough because it's going to be very difficult to predict if there's some set or product that we're just completely overlooking right now, and then it will become I think there's people actively trying to do that all the time right now, and that almost makes it impossible for it to fully happen, is because people aren't going to let it happen. As soon as something creeps up that seems like it has this hidden untapped potential, the market for it is going to get crazy quickly.
Yeah. Plus, I think Panini uncovered something. We knew that golds were popular even before Panini, gold refractors. That's always been a really popular thing. Gold's a popular color amongst people, obviously. And so when Panini made it out of 10, they sort of struck this perfect balance of these really good rookie chase cards. They're really desirable visually, and they're rare enough. So any future Fanatics company or whatever that comes, they're not going to unlearn what Panini taught us with the printing of the 10. They're going to keep it similar-ish in print run because they know that that's something that's really valuable to collectors.
For sure. All right, Kobe8123, 1996-13, aka Mohammed, who had a birthday earlier this week. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Also
Mama.
recently graduated with a bachelor's degree.
Congratulations, Mama.
So a young man off to a great start. Says, have you guys ever felt offended by sending a lowball offer? I'm not really sure. Like the language of this question is weird. Is he
Receiving? Receiving or sending?
That's what I mean. It's just I guess it makes more sense. Like, have you ever been offended receiving a lowball offer?
Offended? I mean, I don't know if I'd use the word offended. I just ignore people. You know, like, nah, no thanks, or, you know, whatever. Just blow them off.
Oh, he clarifies. He says he means sending. Have you guys ever felt offended by sending a lowball offer? I need more clarity on this, Mohammed, because I don't know, why would I be offended if I'm sending somebody a lowball offer?
Maybe you're pre-offended for them. Like, I know I'm gonna be offending this guy.
Maybe you're offended that they have the OBO at such a high price that you look like you're sending a low ball offer, but really it's just a fair market price for the bench player that you collect who's been injured for 5 months, so he hasn't played basketball and has no expected return date.
That's fair.
Div says ashamed or awkward instead of the word offended. Like, you're embarrassed. Like, I can't believe I have to send this, but I'm going to do it anyways.
That's interesting. So, what do you say to that, Josh? Have you ever felt ashamed or embarrassed sending a low ball?
I don't really send low balls. It sounds kind of snobbish, but that's the theme of the night. I feel like I always just kind of send the final offer. Like, this is the price that I've researched that I think is fair. Here it is.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, if I'm sending a low ball on a card, I'm probably not sending anything because I don't want the card.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
If someone is like coming at me saying that they're like really wanting to sell me something, like, what would you pay for this? I really need to sell it. I would just be like, you know, half of whatever. Like, I'm only taking this from you if you're just literally giving me free money. Other than that, I don't want it.
Right. Yep. So the 41st pick says, sending a low ball on a card that is being sold at the correct market value is pretty embarrassing. So I think that's a fair take, honestly. Like, it's okay to have a little shame, you know, and like sending that low ball.
Like, those are key words, being sold at the right market value.
Mm-hmm.
That's key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just because you know someone who collects a bench player on the 7 seed, and maybe they collect other things, does not mean that the market value of that bench player rises because of someone collecting him.
The mega low ball instead of a mega bid. Mr. Minty says mega low ball.
Yeah. But, you know, I definitely, especially when I was starting out on eBay, and it just seemed like this ocean of tens of thousands of cards. It's possible that I just would sort of fire off dozens of lowball offers on just lots of cards that I would find scrolling eBay, and never really felt any shame about it. If I'm being
that's like, I took this question as like, you know the person, or you're on Instagram, so like they know who you are and you know who they are, and you're making this offer and you're like, sorry, but but on eBay it's like, whatever. Here's some random username, I don't even know who you are. Here's a low ball. Don't care.
Dude, something about the anonymity that eBay sort of builds in to make sure that people don't take their stuff off platform. Like, on eBay, they don't want you getting too close. They don't want you getting too cozy.
Exactly.
But there's something about that makes it escalate to contentious very quickly. Very.
Here's a free idea for eBay executives. You guys want to get smarter over there at eBay? Here's an idea. Don't let people make usernames with the word IG underscore in it. You dummies.
Oh no, dude, you are cramping a lot of hustle right now.
Golly, man, how hard is that? You guys are like all worried about freaking. That's like the easiest way to get people offline.
You ever been kicked off of eBay before for no?
I got some tricks.
I got suspended for a week once.
Did you really? What does that look like? What do they do? They just got a little message and like you've been deactivated for a week.
Yeah, this was so many years. This was like probably like 4 years ago, and like I think I was going back and forth with a guy and put my number in there or something. I just got a notification that was just like you've done something.
Violated
Great.
the
Yeah.
user agreement.
Now I'm friends with a criminal. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm expecting the FBI at my door any minute. So
They might be in
it's been
this chat.
it's been a good show. It's been a good life.
No, I was just kidding. I never ever break the rules with eBay. I have no tricks. Once I've started the conversation on eBay, I keep it there.
Yep. No, I mean, I learned my lesson, and B, I'm not mad at eBay for wanting to like protect the sanctity of its marketplace, given how they are the reason for bringing these buyers and sellers together, and also we need eBay. eBay is so important to cards, especially for newcomers. Like, especially for people new to the hobby, it's so important to have eBay. Like, we need to.
Plus, eBay has no buyer fees. I'd rather pay no buyer fees than 20%.
Fair. And we need to feed. We need. All right, I'm just gonna stop. I was gonna go too far. All right, let's go. What other questions?
Alex says, "Confess those sins, Hoj."
Nick's basketball PC says, what do you think about Steve Aoki's announcement that he is grading music-related items like vinyl, sets, etc.?
My thoughts, or go to the next question. I couldn't care less.
What do you mean? You're not buying a vinyl from Goodwill right now?
I'm like running out of other categories to hate. Like I'm just running out of room. My hatred is spread so thin.
Yeah. Yes.
I thought I had them all wrapped up in a little box of all the things, the shoes, and now I gotta worry about records or something.
Let me ask you this. Did you find yourself more aggravated at tactics to infiltrate the hobby a year ago when prices and everything was or now?
Definitely, I hated it more a year ago. I was like actively chasing down people to scold them for their annoying ways of getting over exuberant about their rising net worth.
Yes. Like, dude, I've been in a bit of a hobby lull. You know, I picked up some nice cards this week, but they weren't Grail stat. So like I was riding high off of my last Grail for like a month. But even though like the Grails ain't coming out, and even though like the market is in a negative place, I'm enjoying it more now for sure. My frustrations are much lower now than they were a year ago.
That's boring. That was what you're saying?
Now is born. No, well,
you like the drama, Chris?
I'm saying the opposite. I like it now.
Yeah.
I like it where I'm not opening Facebook and seeing paid ad after paid ad for some stupid exploits that's either in the hobby or is trying to capture me away from cards and into the next great NFT.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know, but like my enjoyment of the hobby ultimately always boils down to, am I picking up grails? Am I finding and picking up grails? And I have not seen a grail that appeals to me in months. It's been months and months. So
Well, it's not a grail if you get one every week, Chris. So
True.
you're doing it right.
that's true. Look, I can always find something to complain about.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Do not test me.
all I gotta do is say dentists grading their shoes, and you'll just freak out. And a kid dentist, a kid training to become a dentist has just graded a new shoe
Okay, I gotta write that one down.
with HGA. He's grading with HGA, and he's trying to convince all of his future dental customers that this is the next asset class.
God damn. I would, yeah, that's good.
You're just like ready to punch me.
I'm not even really I haven't been focused on the dentist and the kids lately just because they aren't really pissing me off right now. You know, like.
Maybe if MJ had played against dentists instead of plumbers, he would have been more. What was it? What's the thing where he says he took that personally? Maybe he would have been taking it more personally to play against dentists.
Yeah. I'm trying to write down all these titles that stiff.
This might be the best week of potential captions we've ever had. We might need to start backlogging these for future weeks.
Yeah, I have to move on to a second page because there's a lot.
Let's go.
All right. Ben Cross Country Runner 1 says, do you guys still buy and sell cards to make money to fund your own PC? And if not, with what level of confidence do you think you could? Parentheses, don't be humble.
Don't be humble. I do a little bit, yep, but I don't really post them publicly too much. I just sort of under the radar do it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. It's
mostly when something comes up on an auction site that I think is being overlooked or it's too far down the list, and my knowledge says that it's underpriced, and I'll send it off somewhere else or try to sell it myself.
Sure. I'm dealing with this right now because I have 800 slabs. I just wish I had the money back from sending these in to grade them. So bad. So bad. So I think you got to be into it, Ben. And it can be really fun to just set up your eBay store or set up at a show, whatever your medium is of transacting, and just find cool cards. And it works the best, I've found in my experience, if it's cards that I like already. It's just fun to wheel and deal, and it's fun to sell stuff and to see how strong the market truly is for cards that you like, and to see those cards end up somewhere and make money doing it. And there's something that just get the juices flowing for some of us doing that. It's a really fun way to experience a hobby, but it's best though if you're enjoying it, if it's cards or players or sets that you have a connection to, or maybe it's cards that you pulled yourself. I always like that one too. Something that I pulled, that I graded, then I sold, always was a lot of fun to see the value, to see the return on that. But that's the hard part about it for me, Ben, is having the motivation and being fired up to want to do it. And as long as that's there, then I think I can do okay. Winslow Lee says BGS is losing the blue and the white labels. From an eye appeal, I think this is a huge and a great move. What do you think will be the long-term effects of this change?
You and I talked about how it sort of brings down the excitement about getting an 8.5 down a lot.
Yes.
It's now I see no difference in an 8 or an 8.5.
Same. I'm not a huge fan of this move. I never loved the white labels, the paper labels. I'm with you on that. But I don't love that I have a McCaffrey BGS 6. It looks the same as the BGS 9. And it's just going to take a while for me to get used to that. It just is. So
I mean, it's like why I've settled and, I've been okay with having PSA 5s and 6s and 7s because, like, they kind of look the same as the 9s and the 8s and the 7s.
And
like
the 10s. They look the same as the 10s too, right?
7, 5. The 10 is like the extra digit. Like, I have a special place for the 10. But, like, 8, 5 and an 8 PSA, I almost rather have the PSA 8. And now I feel the same about BGS. Whereas before, it's like, God, BGS 8, no! Must have 8, 5. So I get the silver label. It kind of does bring it down a little bit.
Yeah. Like, with many things like this, though, where I've been so used to BGS doing it this way for years, like, I'll probably end up getting used to it and be fine with it, but it's a tough adjustment period right now. I'm not a huge fan of it.
We basically hate all change.
Yeah. And we also hate when things don't change in the way we want it to change.
I mean, I'm with you, though. I think it looks a lot better. Those white labels are pretty ugly.
Yeah.
The blue especially. My goodness. Blue?
The blue, the blue was special.
The blue is like a warning label, like hazardous material.
Yeah. So are those silver now, too?
That's apparently, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
We can make those white now. Make those the white labels. Just really confuse people.
Okay, there was a series of related questions about pop reports that I'm trying to find. Where did you go? Oh, here we go. The Spirit of Cardboard says, what do you estimate the margin of error to be in population reports due to cracking and crossing? Take a random $200 Kobe insert or a Ricky Henderson rookie card as an example. And then Kobe rookie chase builds on top of this. To add to this post about population reports due to cracking cards out and resubbing them, take a look at one of Josh's favorite cards, parentheses, and one of mine, the 2003 Finest Gold Refractor LeBron. The card is serial number to 25. Yet, check the card ladder population report supplied by GemRate, and you'll see 32 created examples across PSA and BGS. No one probably wanted to own up to cracking these cards, but don't you think you should be able to decommission a cracked slab or label? What if you send in the label for a small credit? It would definitely make for truer, more accurate pop reports.
Yeah, people are too lazy though. Like you just have to always bake in the fact that people are lazy and not. I keep a lot of my labels. I should send them all in because that would be make for a more true pop report. And I feel like you're helping the hobby in the future. But people are just, myself included, too lazy to do that. So you just gotta. I don't know. It's a lot, man. Probably like 10 to 20%. Unfortunately.
Yeah, dude. In the case of this card, in which there's 25. And their pop is 32, that's over 20% resubs at a minimum.
I got a question.
Right, that's assuming they've all been graded.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say at a minimum. Like, and in many instances, not everything's been graded. Go ahead, Christina, you had a
Do
question.
you think any of these companies care?
Sorry, you have to submit your question to the thread, to the Instagram post.
Dick.
Well, I'm just saying because, like, to the companies, like, you're not paying them to do this. They have to pay someone to do this work to decommission these slabs.
Right.
Like,
in fact, they want to get paid to do this. They want a small credit.
Exactly.
They want you to crack and resub, and they just keep getting paid more.
No, yeah, but I'm saying that the question asker says, give me a credit to your company for providing my old label.
Right.
So, like, not only is the grading company having to, have people submit these and, workers enter them and decommission slabs.
You need to belabor the point. It's a good point. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good point. I'm gonna put this.
You know what? You don't have to talk anymore. The show's over. It was a good show. Let's end the show now, though.
I'm gonna go in a slightly different direction than you. What if we reconceptualize what population reports are? What if we change our understanding? There's like an assumption that a population report is an accurate representation of how many cards exist in the supply. And we use it as a shorthand for that. Oh, this many Jordan Fleers have been graded, that means this many exist, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what if instead we teach ourselves to understand that a population report is only a reflection of how many times a copy has been graded of the card. And we understand that there's going to be a resubmission rate built in. And maybe we have to approximate it at 20%, or we have to have specialized knowledge that like cards that have been around for longer are having way more resubmissions than cards that are newer.
Yeah.
And, lean into the imperfection of the knowledge. I think that's the most practical way to solve this.
Dude, of all those Jordan Fleer PSA 10s, I think I've graded like 200 of those.
You've graded 200 Jordan Fleer PSA 10s?
Of the 300, about.
Nice. That's it? I thought your number was higher. Damn. That is a lot of power for one man. All right, let's get to some other questions here before we have to go. Let's get to some more here. Coach Co Collectibles writes in, please discuss Prism Monopoly. Do you know what this is all about?
They're making Monopoly cards now, finally.
Yes. No.
You just like thought I'd be right.
It was a good guess. They're putting Prism packs into Monopoly products, is my understanding. So it includes one starter pack and 2 Prism packs when you buy the board game.
But it's like
What?
a Monopoly. It's a Prism themed Monopoly. Like they do this with like Disney and like Harry Potter. They've done it with other brands.
South says they're taking a shot at Fanatics. That's what I thought when you first said it. I was like, Prism has a monopoly on shiny cards in the hobby or something?
So that's clever. I like that. So how will you play Monopoly with Prism cards?
No, see, the board itself is probably like NBA Prism, like edition.
Like Park Avenue is like 2012 gold or something?
Like
right.
So like something similar, like yeah, maybe. I don't know.
We need to learn more.
I haven't, like, I remember this was like a big thing when like we were in grade school, that like Monopoly would like come out with special edition Harry Potter Monopoly, or I don't even freaking know, like, oh, okay, so that's what you guys talk.
Oh, please let the Clippers lose this game so I can make fun of Sal.
Oh boy, it's getting close.
He's like, they're going to score 160. I'm like, yeah, but they're going to give up 150.
Yeah, like they have a Stranger Things Monopoly, a Super Mario Monopoly, a Game of Thrones Monopoly. Like, it's just the board game itself becomes the theme of the edition.
Mm.
And then this, like, the advertisement from Panini said that there would actually be packs in there as well.
Yeah. The foray back into retail, because this is going to be on shelves at Walmart and Target, presumably, has vibes of Hanes Michael Jordan packs.
Is Prism even been released yet for football last year?
No, but it is on the docket to come up soon.
That's so ridiculous, dude. Like, that just like really pisses me off. I don't know why. It's like the most annoying thing about the hobby. It's like we literally are a year behind.
Yeah, I mean, shit. You could have made and lost so much money on Brock Purdy by this point.
Well, even basketball, like we don't have rookies for this year in Prism and basketball, and the year's halfway up, more like 2/3 over.
I know. It's
Just
rough.
imagine you guys want to make a hype train. You want to like hype up the future, everything in the hobby, and you want to talk about every celebrity that comes in, and we're all going to be millionaires. The best way to do it is to release products at the beginning of the year. That'll hype the train. That'll be the only legit hype train we have. Freaking crazy, man. We're like pulling hype trains out of our butt, and we can't do the best hype train possible.
Okay, well, that's a good title.
You want to hear something crazy, Josh? So
Yes.
On February 23rd, 2023, 2020-21, the Cup hockey finally released.
You're trying to just like send me into a fit of rage tonight?
Yeah.
She's just like, here, I got an idea. Let me throw some logs on that fire.
I mean, Ranting Josh is one of my favorite versions.
Well,
Dude.
go ahead, Josh.
Well, I was just going to say, Dave Portnoy was in Arizona shitting on all my favorite pizza places this week, so my rants might get a little crazier.
I understand your performance tonight in a whole new light. So he's giving negative reviews to the places that you know as being more of a connoisseur of your area are the best places.
He went to my like top 5 pizza place, and he's like, before he even took a bite, he's like, this looks like Domino's. And he ate it. He's like, yep, Domino's. And he gave it like a 5. He's like, what the fuck, dude?
Did you invite him over to your place to try your pizza?
He did try my number one favorite spot, and he gave it like a 7-1 or something.
No, I meant your house for your homemade.
Oh, I know. He hasn't had my pizza. No, I give that a 10.
Yeah. He wouldn't even know what to do with that pizza if he got it.
South says, shocker, Phoenix pizza is not very good. We're not known for our pizza. If he wants to try, I mean, it's like Mexican food really here is like the big to-do.
All right. Well, let me get to this question from Relentless Daggers, 230824. He says, has Panini given up on improving anything they do, and what we tell them is fucked up?
I don't know. I can't speak to this. I mean, they're not releasing products in time, so.
I'd say no.
You say no, they have not given up.
No.
Would you like to elaborate further on that?
You didn't ask me, and why?
Okay, well, Christina says no, but is not able or willing to say why.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say here.
I want you to say why.
Why? Like, have they given up on improving anything? What is anything?
Right, okay, let's not take the question too literally. What the person is getting at here is like, there are grievances the collectors bring up time and time again, how long it takes to get redemptions back, the lack of game-used memorabilia in releases, the incredibly delayed product schedule, and Relentless Daggers is saying, is Panini mailing it in? Are they not taking seriously that collectors are pissed off about this stuff?
Fanatics?
I don't know if the question asker would be okay with like using Fanatics as the cop out,
Because they still own a few other licenses.
They still own a few other licenses. They still own these licenses for years to come still. And this problem, some would argue, predates Fanatics' intervention.
I think I've never had a problem with Panini, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I had an issue once, and I called them, and I got an immediate response from their customer service, and the issue was resolved immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I understand that's not everyone's take, but I have not had an experience with Panini where I was left unsatisfied.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do a nice job with the products themselves. Like, everyone, like, oh, I wish Topps Chrome was back and all this. Like, I've seen baseball, and I've seen how they overprint and the designs year to year for Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome baseball, and I think Panini's doing a better job. So It's not that. And is the delay on the releases not entirely their fault? Is it like a supply chain kind of deal issue as well? Like, is it not fully in their control?
Yeah, they don't own the print. They don't own the printer. Like, my understanding with them is that they outsource the actual printing of the cards.
Right.
Like redemptions, like you can, like that's your athlete's fault.
Right.
Like they can't control like they can't force these men who are paid millions upon millions of dollars to sit their asses down and sign some stickers or cards and send them back. Like, what was your other thing?
Redemptions. Another one that has come up in the chat is production flaws, like nail imprints and cards and refractor lines and off-centered stuff.
Again, that's that's definitely a quality control issue, but at the same time, they're outsourcing that. Like they don't do that stuff in-house. And then you also talked about game worn, and I just don't give a shit about game worn or signature, so I really don't care about redemption lags or like this was bought off of Dick's Sporting Goods and cut up versus an athlete wore it in a game. Like I don't care about that stuff. For what I care about for cards, the design and like the fun stuff to me is like seeing the sets that I enjoy that are not as well known or well collected in the hobby, like Court Kings or Status. You're getting mad at me. I'll shut up.
No, keep going. Yes. What about the design?
I like those designs. Like I know Panini. Like I started collecting in 2016. I'm not unsatisfied. Like I said,
So
I'm happy with it.
the TLDR is that a lot of these problems are not the responsibility of the people at Panini, and you appreciate the artwork and the designs that they make.
I'm not saying it's not their responsibility because it's still their product, but like there are like circumstances beyond their control for some of this stuff, like the fact that jerseys are super expensive for game worn, and those are open auction. Like Panini doesn't get to collect.
And there's timing issues. There's timing issues as well. Yeah, because like they can't get the jerseys, manufacture the product, and have it out on time.
Yeah, Panini chooses to like fill out the product first before, like they would rather fill out the product with some of them not being game worn than having a lesser amount of product and having all game worn. You know what I mean? Like there's still some game worn, but there's just going to be some of the non-game worn just so they can have more product, more people to collect it. Because there's people out there that don't necessarily care about it, so they shouldn't get cards because there wasn't enough to go around because they chose to only do game worn. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yep. One thing Panini could do that pisses me off is
Made a 3. Kings hit a 3 at the buzzer.
the Kings
Overtime.
did? Oh.
Yeah, overtime. 153 to 153.
Man, what happened?
They fucking stormed all the way back.
What happened to that Clippers defense?
I don't think he ever said the defense is good. Sorry, go ahead.
I was told that I'm watching the 3 as it happens. Was that Monk who made it? I was told that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are these two-way gods.
Oh, it's just like when he said that they were up 10 and then all of a sudden the game was tied.
Okay, so I would love for Panini to say, hey, we're going to forego some of the less important products and some of our product lines so we can get the big flagship products out right away. That I would appreciate that, but I understand that's in conflict with Panini's bottom line, probably, and they've already thought about that. I know and admire and like have a lot of respect for people who work there, so I know that these are not ill-willed people, at least the people I know. So I don't want to beat up on them or take anything out on them. But, dude, collectors have so many legitimate grievances, and it has to be an understanding of, like, collectors have ideals. They want things to be perfect. Things are never going to be perfect. So there's always going to be some antagonism about it. It's just the nature of this hobby. Plus, a lot of us in this hobby are just crabby, grumpy curmudgeons. We are. It has shown itself throughout this entire show today. So, like, it just is what it is. It's just part and parcel of this, but yeah, there's always room. There's plenty of room to improve. I'm gonna have to just end it on that note. All right.
We're just like PWCC search bar, Panini delayed releases. We got ideas for these companies to solve your problems.
I mean, we just went full hobby curmudgeon tonight.
So we're just regular hobbyists, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So this is just par for the course. All right. Are you ready to go through some titles?
Yes, it's 11. Let's go.
All right. Get your juices flowing.
The lack of context is what makes this so funny. I'm like, I don't remember that, but all right.
Take a page from Japan.
I like how you're going out of order too.
The Japan model. Card Idiocracy. Don't get too cute with the search bar. Mega Lowball. I like that one as a callback to other things. Shoes are not like bananas.
Is there a banana emoji?
Yeah.
Yes. There must be a banana emoji. Pulling hype trains out of our butts.
Dude. That's so true, though, isn't it? We just find these dumb hype trains. Come on.
Yes. Yes, it's very true. That's an evergreen title if I've ever seen one.
We try to keep the butts and PG-13 stuff out of our captions, though.
Right. Yes, we do. Those look like shoes that my dad mows the grass in.
Is there a lawnmower emoji?
Is there a lawnmower emoji? There may be.
Yeah, I think you should put the lawnmower emoji on whatever caption we use. Write that down.
All right, lawnmower emoji.
Just no matter what we choose.
A kid in training to be a dentist just graded a shoe.
All the triggers.
I like that one a lot. Or we could just shorten that to a dentist just graded a shoe. Let the kids live a little bit.
Imagine if the poor folks over at PSA, who already have a tough job keeping up with the demand of all the grading, now have to take in these smelly shoes.
Oh man, I wouldn't wish that on them.
It's just come on, you're making me look through all these cards all day. Now I got to grade these stinky ass shoes.
We have the classic, I can always find something to complain about. My hatred is spread so thin. That about does it.
Full hobby curmudgeon.
Full hobby curmudgeon.
As always, let me give my initial take, and then you guys can spin off of it. Card Idiocracy with a lawnmower emoji.
There's no lawnmower emoji in this chat.
What about
Grass.
Jinx? What about grass? Card Idiocracy is definitely checking some boxes. It's short, it's sweet. You know what it means.
Bit of a theme. It kind of went across a couple topics.
Yeah.
It was our longest rant of the night.
Yep. It was.
Our deepest rabbit hole.
I'm good with Card Idiocracy, if you are.
If you can find the grass emoji, that would be great. If you could just do that for me.
There's not a grass emoji.
God,
I'll try to find something.
Fucking who makes these emojis anyways?
All right.
Just do a shoe emoji with a green box or something green. I don't know.
I see. Here's what I'm worried about, though. All right, we're combining two different topics into one.
Yeah. Okay.
We got to keep it one or the other. We have to commit one way or the other.
All right. I'm okay with Card Idiocracy. What was your favorite?
Yeah, I like Card Idiocracy too. I mean, I would probably click and listen to that video.
And I don't want to give any extra marketing to shoe asset classes.
Dude, there will be people who will see that and be like, "Oh, these guys are shilling shoes now. Fuck these guys."
Yeah, because I think, selfishly, the funniest one was the shoe banana thing. But I don't want people being like, "Oh, these guys are talking about shoes now. Fuck these guys."
And there's like a Banana Man meme in stocks that like could be read into the fact that we're really pumping shoes.
Whenever we do these the funniest part of these captions for me is when on like Sunday morning I refresh YouTube and suggested card ladder always comes up, and I just see the title and I'm like, oh my god, we actually like made that a title and it's visible to the world and it makes no sense. It's amazing.
I'm quite proud of that moment as well.
Like every other video has like a contextually title that makes sense, and ours just doesn't. It's amazing.
All right. See everybody next week. Go Kings.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.